Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the first Brotherhood battle that I've put onto YouTube. Sorry Spart, it's Legion 22. So today it's myself with the Julii faction and TR with the Brutii faction against Assad's Fist with the Macedonians and Amnestius with the Scipii. As you can see, the Romans have split their forces, moving 5 units of urban cohorts onto their right flank, which would be our left. So it looks like what they're going to try and do is force the battle on my side. If they can win big enough on this side, then it won't really matter what happens on the other flank. So what I need to do is make sure I hold long enough for TR to win decisively on our right flank. So I'm just going to move a couple of units over just to try and block off that Scipii advance, keep them in loose formation, protect against the pillar. Just take a look at the centre where the Macedonians have started to press that attack. You can see the pillar there just smashing in, just trying to do as much damage as possible to that infantry before it can get too close. There's a couple of Macedonian units just starting to rout, but I've got a feeling they'll just be weakened, unupgraded units that Assad has put there just to take up that missile fire. You can also see some fire arrows going in because I've got a couple of units of archers just at the back, and the Macedonians do tend to be vulnerable to missile fire. So if we go back to an overview of the battlefield, you can see the Romans have just starting to press the attack against my flank, and the Macedonian troops in the centre, they're now starting to mass, just trying to force their way through those units that are in loose formation in front of my army. You can see there I've dropped a few units into Testudo because all I'm aiming to do on this side is just to hold those armies in place and make sure that TR's got enough time to win on the other side. Now on my far left urban unit, you'll see now the pillar going in from the Scipii, and you can see the damage that that's doing to that unit even though it's in loose formation. So that's already one of my units that's been quite severely weakened there. You can also see just behind the Macedonian ranks the Roman general coming across just to make sure that the troops he does have on this flank won't lose morale too quickly, that they'll keep fighting. He may also use this in support of the Macedonian cavalry. Assad's going to move that down now and try and get in behind me. This could actually be pivotal in the battle, because if he can win the cavalry battle on this flank, it leaves our rear completely exposed to that Macedonian cavalry. They'll just be in behind us so they can do whatever they like. So I'm just going to bring my cavalry over just to try and check that advance. So on the right hand side, TR's began to engage the Scipii infantry. His front rank's just engaged in melee. He's moved his second rank of infantry up. They're beginning to throw missiles into the enemy troops, and he's still got his archers targeting the Macedonian troops. As I said before, they're far more vulnerable to missile fire than the heavily armoured Roman infantry. He's moved his cavalry over to the right because the Scipii general has moved his cavalry onto his left. And if you can see over on the other side, the cavalry's just about to start going in. Yeah, that Macedonian cavalry's gone in. It's taken out one of my urban units and forced one of my cavalry units to rout. So I'm just going to pull back, try and regroup and try and get back in. But Assad's seen that. He's seen my counter charge and he's pulling back. So both of us now, we're just going to pull back, regroup and try and go in again. I've now just switched my archers from targeting the infantry to targeting that cavalry, just to try and get some kills on that before it goes back in, because he does actually have his general in there, and if I can kill his general, then it will make a big difference to the morale of his infantry. Assad now, he's just throwing the rest of his infantry in, so I've now got to do the same. I've got pretty much all of my army engaged at this point. There's still 2 units of Scipii infantry waiting to go in, and the Macedonian cavalry's just gone back into my flank. I think he's targeting my general there. So I'm going to counter charge. But as you can see above, there's still 3 units outstanding of Macedonian cavalry, and they're going to come into my flank. And there they go. Straight away one of my units is routed. So I'm just going to try and pull back, get out and try and go back in again. And it looks like Assad's going to do the same thing, but there you can see his general's gone. His general's routed. That's going to have an effect on his army. So I'm just going to quickly try and get back in and try and kill as much of that cavalry as possible. Yeah, there's a couple of Macedonian cavalry units gone. Just pull back out, just regroup, and we'll just go and check over on the other side. TR now, he's beginning to press that attack. Looks like his second rank's going to go in. Just try and bully his way through that couple of units in loose formation. Move his next rank up, throw them missiles. Probably targeting the Macedonians again just to try and get rid of those pikes. And he's now moving a couple of units of infantry out just to face that Scipii cavalry, just to stop it getting a full cav charge bonus into his own cavalry, targeting them as well with his archers. And it looks like he's got a cavalry general up there as well. Now you see that the Scipii cavs tried to charge, and TR's got his general in, which is just check them, and now he can countercharge with his own cavalry. And straight in, and that's pretty much set the entire Roman cavalry to rout. Now if you just check what TR's doing there, he's just going to keep chasing them. He's just sending a couple of units of cavalry to chase down that Scipii cavalry and make sure it can't reform. If it does reform, there's still quite a lot of it there, so if it does reform it'll be quite potent. And then he's just going to come back and try and take out the Roman general. Now Assad's seen that, and he's moving some of his infantry across to try and defend his allies' flank from that cavalry. And TR's seen that infantry coming across, so he's just going to get his cavalry out of there because he doesn't want them tangling with pikes. So if we just go to an overview, see the Scipii cavalry routing in the top, the Macedonian cavalry routing towards the bottom. So the battle looks like it's starting to swing in our favour. A lot of the enemy cavalry has been routed, but as you can see in the centre, some of the Macedonian infantry that's routed has started to reform, so Assad will be wanting to get them back into the battle as quickly as possible. So back on the left, I'm just going to try and chase down the last of the Macedonian cavalry. Assad's still got 3 units, but 2 of them are pretty battle damaged. And yeah, they've just routed on contact. So there's 1 decent unit of Macedonian cavalry left. I'm going to try and get them so I can get in behind the engaged enemy infantry. Oh, I just got killed. Hopefully my hideous death by pike won't have too big an effect on the morale of my army. So now I've got my cavalry behind. I'm just going to look for somewhere where I can get a charge, just try and rout some enemy infantry. Assad, he's now throwing his infantry at mine. If he can kill a couple of my units or force them to rout, then he could still turn in their favour. So I'm still looking for somewhere where I can get a decent cav charge in, but Assad's seen that and he's moving his pikes, turning his spears towards me, so my cavalry's just kind of milling about at the minute. There's no decent target for them. So if we move back over to the right, you see TR's completely engaged now. Assad has moved 2 units over to cover his allies' flank. My cavalry's still there, still roaming the battlefield looking for somewhere to get a charge in. And Assad's seen that, and he's just moving his infantry, just blocking me off. A couple of the Scipii units are starting to rout. This is swinging in our favour now. As you can see, most of my army is now free. I can start moving across and attacking their flank. In the background, you can just see TR's cavalry. TR's just now moving around the back. My cavalry's doing the same thing, moving across, linking up. He's thrown these infantry against the 2 units on the 2 units of Macedonian pikemen. Assad, he's seen that, he's trying to get across the cover, but I think TR's going to get his cavalry through. And if he does, I think that'll be pretty much game over. Yeah, he's got through, and he's straight into the back of that Scipii infantry, and there's a mass rout. That's all of the Scipii infantry gone. So cutting back to an overview of the battle, you can see we have put the enemy army to rout there. I've got cavalry towards the rear, they can just roam around and make sure that none of the enemy units reform. So both armies trying to use the same tactic in this one, trying to overwhelm one flank while holding on the other one. But in the end I think it's the two cavalry battles on either flank that have proved decisive in this one. This is Legion 2 signing out.